you for showing up for this weird and impromptu round of Poetic License. I love saying back when I had a, bookstore reading, I had signs to show this stuff off, but I thought that before I talk about poetry readings, I'd say, because Kathleen, and all you guys see how many books I do, that I also do books for other people, and one of them, I might as well show these off because we just released 2 this month. This one is titled The Recluse, and it's a novella from Rochelle Holt, who has come to Chicago once, but she has done stuff for Anais Nin years ago and has books released, and it's been groundbreaking poet and friends with her, and it was cool just to be able to do another release of hers, which is out right now, about a 100-page thing that combines thoughts on what's going on with elections and stuff as interspersed with poetry throughout. Also, I have a book from Paul Bellerive, whom has had a couple small books of mine published, and he said, I want to do a large volume, and I'll show how you thick this is, and it's called The Watering Can, and I'm like, I've got a watering can. I take a shot. He's like, this is perfect. I want that for a cover. You're the best. And so this watering can is representing 6 decades of his poetry that is spanned throughout this book, which is a really cool collection. He got to have say on how he wanted typography and that kind of stuff in for his book. And it's a cool grab to have. I'm going to put that on the main site at Scars, because it's not as if I just do CC&D and Down in the Dirt, which some of you have heard about CC&D before in this first round from Poetic License, but in this second round I'm going to read a couple of poems from the most recent issue of Down in the Dirt magazine, which is titled The Earth Colony. The Earth Colony. This is the cover based on accepted writing within the book. This cover was a Pixabay image, and I said, what would I do to encapsulate something about Earth? And I actually just have a Chicago skyline on it at nighttime. That was the cover for another book, and I'm like, and John looked at it, he's like, this is the coolest thing with the hand holding everything going on. I'm like, well, glad you like it, but it was a cool image or a cool story because there's a lot of good writing that is in this book. I thought I would share 3 poems that are in the back of this book, all the way in the back, and they were actually from a show that I did, and I'm seeing a picture from it right now. I see the last one here, is going to skip ahead. There was a show that I did called Living in a Big World. I don't know if Kathleen saw that show. It was when I was running it at the cafe before it moved to Gallery Cabaret. I designed a giant paper drawing of a chair that I sat in. I'm sitting in a chair. I'll show you a picture of it from later. And I had big things on a big projector, and I was showing images on a big drawing of a TV. Because I was living in a big world. And so I've got some shows from that, and I'll try to show a shot or 2 from that show. But these are all short pieces. This first one is titled, A Retired Policeman Talks About Suicides He's Seen. I remember one lady. We found her in her bathtub. She cut her throat. That's odd for women. Normally they take pills. They don't like to disfigure themselves. But she knew what she was doing, cutting her throat in a full bath. Less messy that way. Autopsy said she was full of barbiturates. She was a nurse. That explained how she knew how to do it. But then we found out that she was pregnant, too. And to top it off, her brother was a priest. Short little story ones. As I said, they're short pieces, and I'll have to show off. I'm sitting in oh my God, you can see the drawing of the chair. It was I'm sitting on a dresser with a drawing of a chair around me as I'm sitting there pressing buttons. But that was a fun show to do, and this one is in that show as well, and it's titled I Want. I want a big house with filtered central air, and I want a big lawn so I can recreate nature. And I want a big fence so that I know it's mine. And I want the evergreens trimmed in a neat little balls because it has to look neat. Plant everything in a row. And I want to spray chemicals on my lawns to keep the dandelions away. And I want a big plastic lobster bib over my fancy dress at that fancy restaurant. And don't forget the $100 champagne. And I want a big fat car. And I want someone else to drive it. And I want the 2 kids, 1 boy, 1 girl, and I want the nanny to take care of them for me. I want to be famous. I want everyone to love me. I want it. I want it all. That was I want. Which is so not like me. I'm like conserving water and and I'm like, no, but I like the champagne that's $3.99, not $4.99, you know. That was my wedding drink, you know. That's how it rolls, right? But this is the last one from this show, and it's another one of those that I'll have a little picture of me in the big plastic paper drawing of a chair, titled, a nice short one, titled On an Airplane with a Frequent Flyer. I was once on a flight to Hawaii, and I was sitting in line I was waiting in line for the lavatory. There was always a line for a flight this long, you know. It seemed that the washrooms were always on demand for a flight this long. So I finally got into the bathroom, you know, and I looked in the toilet, and someone, well, lost the battle against a very healthy digestive system and left the spoils in the toilet stuck. And maybe it didn't want to go down into where the sewage tank, where there's waste from this long trip went to. I mean, can you imagine all this stuff this airplane is supposed to carry across the ocean? Well, anyway, so I saw this thing stuck in the toilet, and I went to the bathroom, and when I was done, I flushed, and it still wouldn't budge. So after washing my hands, I opened the door, and I walked out into this aisle of this plane again. And there was this long line of people waiting to use this cramped little washroom. And I just wanted to tell them all, you know, I didn't do that. But then it occurred to me that everyone, when they leave the bathroom on that plane, they'll all think the exact same thing. Oh, fascinating story. And I was trying to get a better shot of the chair for you guys to see. Oh my God, it's such an awesome chair. It's like living in a big world. I had to bring furniture and do a drawing of a chair, but it was fun to do. So thank you for listening, you guys. On to the next round, because I will have that. But of course, Teresa's on the list. And I will have Esther go after Kathleen, but after Teresa will be Kathleen. So I will then shut myself up and ask you to read for me, my darling Therese. The stage is yours. If you are ready, take it away.